Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share insights on what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Fuming, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Well, hey, Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, Frank, thanks for having me.
Super excited to have you on here for a couple things. I mean, number one, Mike is the founder. Mike Valente is the founder of Renovation Sells. And what I'm so excited about is after hearing about his franchise opportunity, even I could do this in that I am somebody who is not handy at all. And what Mike does, Mike, I don't want to take away the thunder. So why don't you share what exactly Renovation Sells is?
So Renovation Sells is the largest pre-sale renovation company in the country. We specialize in doing quick cosmetic updates to homes right before they get listed for sale. And the object is that pretty homes sell faster and for more money. We also do quick updates to homes for people who are moving in right after they purchase a home.
Now, I'm not doing any of the work as the franchisee, right? Because you don't want me hammering any nails in the wall. It looks like a machine gun got to a wall if I'm the one doing the work.
Frank, we definitely don't want you doing any work. So no, as the owner of Renovation Sells, you're really responsible for overseeing the subcontractors and managing the projects is one of the main focuses that we specialize in.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, I was reading a little bit. I was doing a little bit of research, and I was reading that, I guess, the huge stat is that millennials are making up what? They're expected to purchase 15 million homes in the next decade. Is that right?
Correct. So millennials are expected to purchase that many homes in the next decade. And the reason why our model is so valuable and important is because the millennial generation has really grown up on HGTV and Instagram, right? So like they have this view of what their house looks like and what they want and what they aspire to be. And our object is look, give the buyer what they want. So making these updates to make it Instagram worthy and look like HGTV is really what we're all about.
So their expectations of their first home is probably a little bit different than what my first home expectation was back in the early 90s. Is that right?
Correct.
That's awesome. So, okay. What even brought you to franchising like this? Tell me how you even got started with this concept.
Well, I'm built to be an entrepreneur. So from a young age, I really knew that I had to be my own boss. So late in 2007, I left my corporate job and decided to get into real estate and construction. And over that time frame, I developed buildings, I flipped houses, and literally I've done like 1,000 residential construction projects over that time. And we kept getting asked by realtors, who we were working with that, hey, can you just do these updates to the homes before we list them? And we were doing that for a while. And we kind of put two and two together after a little bit and said, I think we really have something here with this model that, no one is focusing on this pre-sale renovation updates. So we changed the model in late 2018. And, we really had this special product that no one else was doing. So we said, how can we do this across the country? Because it doesn't just work in Chicago, it works anywhere. And, we quickly realized that, wow, we could kill two birds with one stone. Franchising was the way to go. Because not only can we quickly expand, which we've done, is now we have, 42 locations in 23 states. But the other thing is I get to use my passion of entrepreneurship, and we really get to teach new franchisees how to be successful entrepreneurs. So that's, how we found franchising. And sometimes I like to say franchising found us for whatever reason, but I'm happy that it did.
That's great. I've heard that so many times where we don't have the intentions of franchising when we first start a business, right? We have this creation, this vision, and we want to start this business. And then all of a sudden we start thinking about the vehicle of like, how do I expand? Right? How do I grow this thing? And for me, when I was starting out, it was so scary to the thought of me hiring people around the country.
Right.
And there was just so much of the unknown. Little did I realize back, way back then, that people having skin in the game, it was going to be so much more valuable. And quite honestly, I'm sure the same goes with Renovation Sells. In my background, I found that the skill set of the person was far greater as a franchisee than I could have ever afforded as an employee at the time.
Right. Well, skin in the game. I mean, that's a great point, right? Because construction is still very a personal thing for homeowners. And I've seen lots of companies out there that are trying to drive construction and even real estate to an app or put a whole bunch of tech behind it. But at the end of the day, you're in someone's home. If they're selling it or they're moving in, they want and need a personal touch. And really what we provide is that ownership in localized communities. And that is what matters. That is what sells. I always say people buy people, they don't buy companies. So like franchising to me is a great vehicle for us, especially in the industry that we're in, because that personalization and that touch and that localization really matters. And I think that's why our franchisees across the country are really successful and why we beat the competition, because there's 40 owners that care deeply about the process, the product, and the person they're servicing.
Wow, that's great. Now you mentioned around the country. I forgot to ask you, where are you from? Where are you based out of?
So we're based out of downtown Chicago.
Nice. All right. So Cubs or White Sox? Which one is it?
Cubs.
Nice.
But we're a split town, probably like New York, right? Like we have the people that were born and raised here. A lot of times, unless they're from the north side, they're Sox fans. A lot of the transplants, now I've been here 21 years, naturally become Cubs fans. But we're half the family is Cubs fans, half the family is Sox fans here.
Nice. Well, I'm probably going to lose half the audience when they find out that I'm a New York Yankees fan. Bleed the Yankee pinstripes.
You may lose more than half your. You may lose more than half your.
And that's true. That is true. So, how many people are on your team? Tell me about how that works with your corporate staff.
We have 16 people that work full time on the corporate team.
Wow.
So we have 5 people on the marketing department. We do all the design that gets done out of our corporate location for our franchisees. So I've got 5 people on the design team. We have a full-time business coach, plus an executive team and a team that's focuses on some of the tech that we utilize and install.
Wow. All right. This is fascinating. So I want to focus on who's then your ideal franchise owner? Like, what are some of the traits?
Yep. Really good networkers, really good salespeople, people who are great at presentations, and individuals who have that grit and determination that love entrepreneurship is really who is really successful in our organization.
Oh, I love it. I always say that hunger is the number one trait you need to be successful in business, and then you have to have that grit and that resilience. Because we're all going to have.
You can't teach that. That's unteachable, and that comes from deep within. Is can people face adversity, and can they move forward, and can they use that to springboard into success?
I agree. Right, you're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have bad weeks, bad months, bad years. It's part of business, but you can't teach grit. I totally.
No. And entrepreneurship, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time now, and being an entrepreneur is sometimes like you're on a roller coaster ride. You have days that you think you've dominated and you've mastered the universe, and you have days that the world beats you down and you think, oh my God, is it ever going to stop? Am I doing this right? And the idea is to really get comfortable being uncomfortable, utilizing that uncomfortableness and making that your success, and then leveling out and understanding that some days are good, some days are bad, but overall you're working for yourself, you're living out your dream, and you're doing things that no one else really can do. I heard a stat one time that 80% of people plus wish they were entrepreneurs, but only 15% of people really are. So what that means is that most people want to work for themselves, but only a fraction of the people actually get to or have the grit and determination to work for themselves.
Wow. Yeah. We're all influenced, from personal experience, we get influenced by our family growing up. If you come from a family of entrepreneurs, you may be more apt to go for it. And if you weren't, such as myself, I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. They only know the stories of people they knew where it went sideways, where things went bad. And
correct.
I always feel like somebody that wants to be an entrepreneur, when they hear from their family member, when their parent says, gosh, and they give all the reasons why they don't want you to do this because they think it's going to fail. It's not that they want you to fail, or they're afraid for you because they don't see it in themselves, right? They're afraid that they would fail themselves if they did it. And I think that our families, our friends, they're looking out for us. They love us. They don't want us to fail, but they're projecting their own fears onto us. Wouldn't you agree?
I would. And it's funny. There's an adage that's like, fortune favors the bold, right? Like you can't get to, a high level. I mean, you can, right? But you have to be bold. You have to be willing to take a chance to go against the grain in order to achieve your dreams. I'm really someone that swims against the current and again goes against the grain. If you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm sure you're probably similar. But that's part of it. You have to be willing to take chances and risks, or you're never going to get where you personally want to get in life. Ahead of some of the others that work the 9 to 5.
Yeah. Isn't it what an entrepreneur is? Somebody who jumps off a cliff and builds the plane on the way down, I believe co-founder of LinkedIn said.
Did he say? The funny thing is I say that all the time. I literally say, I'm the one that will jump off the roof and try to figure out how to fly while I'm falling. Luckily. And so I say that all the time. And I had no idea that he said that. Luckily, I have a team that likes to hold me back and say, don't jump, because we have to put a process around it. But, I'll jump and then I'll figure out, okay, we'll fly. We'll figure out how to fly while falling.
Right. We all need that person. I had that person too in my office that would say, okay, slow down a second. Let's figure out how we're going to do this. Right. We all need that person. Yeah. That's great. So I want to go back to, we talked about what the ideal traits of a franchise owner, what that looks like. Tell me exactly what they do. Like, what is the role that I would do as a franchise owner then? My day in, my day out. What does a day in the life look like to them?
Yeah. So the franchise owner is really responsible for two things. One, it's the sales and networking, right? So Renovation Sells, we focus on connecting with realtors across the different communities. And the reason we do so is that we know that, the top 5% of realtors in any given market control 90% of that market in general. They know people who are buying and selling homes. They know people who are renovating, or moving in or moving out. So the object of the franchise owner for Renovation Sells is to be great at networking and sales to realtors. You have to be able to give presentations at brokerages, houses, and stand up in front of large groups of realtors and explain our value proposition and our model. And then the other side of it is you have to go out and manage and find subcontractors to oversee the design that our corporate location gives back to the franchisees. So it's really a sales networking and then a construction project management job is what the task is of the franchisee.
Wow. So the cool thing is I get to be in the real estate business, in the renovation business, without having that experience, or in my case, the ability to actually do the work myself.
Correct. I mean, you have to love real estate and you have to love construction. We really do what they do on TV, like what they see on the shows. I mean, that's our job, so it's kind of a sexy business that we have, and it attracts a lot of people because most people watch those, shows and say, man, I really wish I could do that. But, you can. And you just have to have a love for real estate and construction. You have to want to be a project manager and want to do the sales and networking piece. That is really the requirement that we ask of new franchisees.
That's so cool. And you have some crazy, like, average turnaround time. Tell me, how long does it take to complete a project? Obviously, they all vary in size, but.
Yeah, it's typically like 3 weeks. So we've really taken light construction and we've processed it. Now that's 3 weeks of construction time. So from contract signing, it typically takes us 2 weeks to start. So we get a signed contract. We have a whole process that revolves around, what the scope of work is, sending in the intake form to our design team, and then our design team kicking back a whole design board with a order sheet to the franchisees. And then they will make the order and set up the job. And then construction on a typical home takes about 3 weeks. So the whole process from contract signing to completion is, let's call it 5 to 6 weeks. But in construction, that's really fast.
Wow, that is. All right. So this may sound obvious, but I got to ask anyway, because I'm not really sure from start to finish. But as a franchisee, how do I make money specifically?
You make money as the general contractor, right? So you will marginize your subcontractor. So if you have a painter or a floor person or a cabinet painter, now we're doing mostly cosmetic construction. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not trying to do architecture plans. We're not trying to rip down cabinetry. We're just trying to facelift homes. So you will know the pricing of your subcontractors. You will put a certain amount of markup on top of that pricing, which will return a certain percent of profit margin, which we teach. And that's how you make money by being the general contractor of the project.
Okay, so I'll have somebody at the home office, whether it's my business coach or there's somebody at Renovation Sells, that will help me when I estimate out to know, like, or I should say, when I get estimates back from the subs on whether this is a good price or not, how is there somebody there to help me with the margins?
Well, we have a detailed training. So we have a virtual training that we put everybody through. And then we have a 5-day in-person training that's really rigorous here in Chicago at our beautiful office here in Bucktown. And then we teach all about margin pricing. Now, every location and community across the country has different labor rates. They have different material rates. We give them pricing matrices and sheets that we teach so they can take that back into their market, start to network with subcontractors and develop their own pricing within their market.
Gotcha. And you said 42 franchises since 2020?
Yes. So we sold our first franchise location in September of 21, and we currently sell about 2 a month and have since we started. So since September of 21 to, I guess we're getting close to 2 years in the business coming up this September of 23. We're at 42 franchisees that encompass like 77 territories in 23 states.
Dude, you're like the textbook emerging franchise brand for sure. I mean, that is super cool.
We're emerging. I wonder when we're gonna get rid of the tag emerging and we're just a franchisee growing. But yes, we are a fast growing system. The good news for us is that we're first to market. There's no one like us right now in franchising, so we're the only ones that are doing pre-sale renovations that have franchised our business.
Wow! Just think, Look, we don't know when competition is going to come for you guys, but just think of it this way. You already have a 3-year runway that you've already had.
Correct.
That is incredible.
Yep.
Being first to market's key.
It is. And we've established a good foothold with the brokerage network. We use the brokerage network extensively. So, I'm confident. And look, I'm not naive to think someone's behind us. I know it. And I know there's a spinoff that's just starting, and that's fine. Competition is fine. I always say we all fish from the same ocean. I mean, this world's big enough for competition, and competition is healthy. But we're first to market. We have the name recognition in franchising at the moment. And I think even if someone comes up that has a similar concept, they'll say, "Oh, you're like Renovation Sells," because we were here first.
Bingo. That's the best part.
It is.
That is the best part. And I understand that you guys have already been on the Entrepreneur 500 for fastest growing franchise list. You guys are on already?
Right. We were the fastest growing franchise according to Entrepreneur Magazine. We were one of the top emerging brands according to Entrepreneur Magazine. So yes, we've quickly become labeled as one of the fastest and top brands in the franchising game.
That's amazing. Any idea how big? I mean, obviously there's so much room for competition because the industry is enormous. You guys have any idea how big is this industry?
Well, I mean, I know that there is, 5.5 to 6 million homes per year that go to market for sale. And I know that, the couple companies that do it now, we're the only ones that franchise, and there's 2 or 3 others that do it at a corporate location, but we only touch like 0.01% of the serviceable market. So if you're asking me how big it is, it's unlimited in terms of what opportunities there really are.
Wow. And what's really impressive is that you guys did this in just around the COVID area, the COVID timeframe and post-COVID, which is amazing. You're proving that you can do this during a pandemic and post-pandemic. It did not matter.
And it's been an up and down, in and out real estate market. I've been in real estate for 15 years. So I'm used to the cyclical nature of it. But obviously COVID has thrown all kinds of stuff at us. We had COVID, then we had the post-COVID rates, and then, the inflationary period and supply chain issues. But the good news is our business is really resilient. I think what I'm most proud about is that our business model is actually a real value add in any community across the country. We don't sell someone that people say, man, that's a terrible idea. We sell something that people like their eyes light up and they say, that's the best idea I've ever heard. So, that gives us confidence that, it works in any market, in any economic environment, because the realtors and the clients that we work with see real value in what we're doing.
Wow. Is there a percentage of business you'd say that is non-broker related? So it's just somebody like me that wants to have some renovation done at my home?
Yeah, it may be like 10%. I mean, it's not a lot. I mean, people obviously know of us. They typically know of us through their brokerage because we don't really market to the general public. We think that those are wasted advertising dollars. So if someone does know us, they probably got our name from a referral, from a past client, from a realtor that they work with. I think what the key is that we really are focused on that cosmetic renovation. So typically, if you're asking us to gut your house, that's not something we're going to do. If you're asking us to put an addition on your house, that's not something that we're going to do. If you want a quick facelift, if you want to sand your floors and paint your walls, that's something we're very good at and we're happy to do.
You know, something else about it is if the growth of your franchise is not impressive enough, we have to remember that whether you have competition or not, direct, there are 4,000 plus franchisors out there in the industry. So we are all competing for the same folks when it comes to looking for a franchise opportunity, for that entrepreneur looking for a business. So you guys have been incredibly successful to differentiate yourself among 4,000 franchisors. That's very, very special. Why do you think someone picks Renovation Sells to be a franchisee? Like, what is it about them that's real about the franchise that you feel like they're gravitating towards you?
I think people really relate to the brand. I think they relate to our team. I think they relate to what we do because it's something that they see on TV. And I mentioned earlier, you know, it's something that's kind of a sexy business, right? And it's something that people love real estate design and construction. Like, just people really enjoy that. So I think the three of those things is what drives people to like and want to be Renovation Sells. But at the end of the day, you know, our team is very authentic. We care deeply about each franchisee. You know, we set out, you know, when I started this thing, our motto was, we're going to do everything in our power to make the franchisees successful, period. And I wake up every single day and I say, how can we make these people successful? And I will forego $1 in my pocket to put it back into my company's pocket so that we can give them the resources. And I think a testament to that is the fact that we have 16 full-time individuals that are currently servicing only 42 locations. You know, so that's a 2-to-1, 2.5-to-1 ratio of, you know, franchisees to someone that will support them. So I think that's really important. And when people come into our offices in Bucktown and see and meet the team and they see the authenticity, I think that people really buy into that and know that they're well supported. And we get a lot of high level feedback from our existing franchisees and validation about the support that they receive.
That's incredible. I mean, at the end of the day, right now for you to have 42 and you have 42 franchises and 16 people supporting, that's awesome. That is definitely great support. All right. So what would these 42 franchisees, I know everybody is different, you know, everybody's different, but if we would ask the 42 franchisees, what would they say is Mike's greatest leadership strength?
I'm passionate and I care deeply about them. You know, I pick up the phone still to this day. Like, my favorite, if I didn't have to work on my email and deal with the finances and deal with what, you know, leaders of businesses do, I would be on the phone talking to our franchise partners every day. You know, there's some days that I just text and say, hey, how you doing? And just checking in. Just pick up the phone and call. You know, I was taught by some of our advisors and some seasoned franchise professionals in this business that it's a relationship business. And I think about that often. So, you know, I think they'll say that Mike cares deeply about us. It's not just the front, and that I want to hear about what's working, what's not, and I want to help them. So I think that's my greatest leadership, is I actually care deeply about our partners and I think of them as family.
So since you have training that's both, you said your training's virtual, is that right?
No, we have a week of virtual training that consists of about 20 hours, you know, of virtual training. And then they come in the week after to our Chicago offices and do about 40 hours of in-person, in the field training.
Wow. And tell me about technology. How does technology play a role for the franchise owners?
Right. Well, we use technology. You know, we're a construction company and, you know, design company, and we use technology in terms of our communication. We use Slack, which is something that we use as a forum for the franchisees to get together, even though they're all across the country. We have CRM stack that we use that helps with the communication. And then we have a financing package. And this is key, that we've partnered with a big bank called First National Bank of Omaha, and they provide financing to us via a quick, easy financing vehicle that they built, where homeowners can go online and get up to $50,000 of money to use for the pre-sale renovation to move their home. So those are some of the tech that we've used, that we've installed, that really helps drive us forward. Plus, we have a big project management software that we use that helps manage projects.
Okay, wait a minute. This is not a minor detail then. So
the big detail.
Yeah. So you have an arrangement with a bank that's going to help
Correct.
homeowners get a loan to do the renovation. Or help, yes, and ultimately they're flipping anyway, right? They're renovating to sell this thing anyway. That's
correct.
That's phenomenal.
Yep. That's right. It is phenomenal, and it drives a lot of business for us overall. So it's a quick, 5-minute application, and the home seller can get a 6-month deferred interest loan of up to $50,000 with no prepayment penalty that they can use for pre-sale renovation. So that means, if we're in and out in let's say 45 days, and then the home typically sells in under 30 days and closes, it's free money to the home seller.
That's brilliant. How long have you had that in place?
We've had that in place for over a year. We've used different versions, but we're so thankful to have partnered with the bank that we work with, because they built the whole system for us to get into the financing space for the pre-sale renovation.
What is, back to franchise owners, what's the investment range for a franchise? And how big is a territory?
According to our FDD, and I'm going to say roughly because I don't have it in front of me,
Sure.
You can get one territory, I think roughly like $78,000, up to 2 or 3 territories that will cost you, $120,000 to $130,000 all in. Now that includes the franchise fee for the territory, plus the startup cost, which is some of our tech, some working capital, some marketing spend. Each location, you buy a territory, has about 80,000 households per territory is what we target.
80,000. Okay. And am I able to invest in multiple territories right from the get-go, or is it one at a time?
You can invest in multiple territories from the get-go. We really like to cap it at no more than 3, just because 3 is a big area. You've got, what would that be, like 200 some thousand households that would encapsulate close to 1 million population. I mean, that's a big area to operate, and there's more than enough work and, in 2 to 3 territories for someone to work in and to grow into as well.
That's huge. Are the territories protected?
They are protected. Yes, they're protected by zip code.
Protected by zip code. Awesome.
So you purchase as a partner and a franchisee of ours, you purchase zip code protection. Realtors don't know our zip codes, but that's the only way that we could do it properly to ensure that, the franchisee partner of ours has a working area that no one will encroach in.
Cool. How long is the franchise agreement?
I'm sorry?
How long?
10 years.
It's a 10-year
franchise agreement.
Wow. Well, tell me about, so you're in 23 states. Are we, is it regional? What, you don't have to rattle off all the states, but where are you geographically overall, or where are you looking to go?
Everywhere. We're from Seattle down to California. We have a lot of locations in Texas, up the coast, North Carolina. We're up into New England. And then we have the Midwest covered with Chicago, a couple locations in Minneapolis, Detroit. So we're all over the country. And we're looking to expand in other markets that we're not in.
All right. So how big is big here? How many units you think you got in all these territories?
How many units?
How many territories you think? Yeah.
I think there's probably like 400 territories to 450. Now that's I don't know exactly off the top of my head. I'll tell you our goals in the next 2 to 3 years is to be at 100 franchisees that will encompass somewhere north of 200 territories. In the next by 2025 is where we're planning to be. Can you share with the audience just your vision overall? Where do you see this thing going? Aside from numbers of franchises, do you have what's your big vision for the brand? Yeah, I mean, I think our vision, and we're accomplishing that vision now, is to be the premier pre-sale renovation company in the country, and that's really part of our mission statement is to be that, and I know we are the biggest pre-sale renovation company by location overall. So we're well on our way of accomplishing what our initial dream is. and what our mission is. And I really want to teach entrepreneurship. I want to empower entrepreneurs, and I want to see them be successful. So that's our mission, and we're well on our way to doing that.
What's been your biggest surprise in franchising so far in the 3 years you've been doing this? Because you guys have, like a rocket. There's got to be some surprises along the way. Like, I did not see this coming.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest surprise is, but this is any business, right? It always takes longer and costs more money than you think. Because people, how many people reach out to me now and they say, I'm franchising. I think it's only going to cost me $50,000 and I'll be up and running in 3 months and sell my first franchisee. No, you won't. To get into the franchise game and to do it. But I've been in business for a long time and done a lot of different projects and been an entrepreneur and started other companies. And what I've learned is that it always takes longer and costs more than you think.
Amen. And you know what else? I think my biggest surprise for you is that you've had a 3-year runway before having any franchise competition. That is incredible. That is amazing. Yeah. And I say that because I went through the same thing with my company. I couldn't believe it. I used to look over my shoulder every day. Every month I would get Every month I would get Entrepreneur magazine. And I used to, this is way back in the 90s, my friend. And I'd go to the back to the franchise opportunities and I'd flip through the pages and I'd see if anybody had franchised amateur sports. And it was out of fear that I wasn't going to be first. And I couldn't believe, though, looking back, that we had like 3+ years before anybody competed with us. And it was that runway that I really needed, because we weren't looking over our shoulder. We were busy building a company. We were building a brand. We were fixing a lot of things in our case that were broken. So to me, that's one of the biggest surprises, because the franchise industry overall has, I feel like it has spread out. The veins have gone out so far in every possible category that it's amazing that you came along as recently as 2020, yet you're first in the category. That's awesome.
Yep. Well, I think, look, we watch our competition. We know what's happening. I think at the end of the day, though, I know that we're doing things the right way. I know that we're, doing it with the correct attitude and faith and the attention to the franchisees. And so, if we get competition, and we will, again, I'm not naive to think that we're not going to. But at the end of the day, I know we do things right. And I know that wins. So, someone can come in and try to knock us off. But again, they're always going to be, oh, you're like Renovation Sells. So I'm okay with that. And, I compete against myself and our own internal goals. I don't particularly compete against other people. And I actually, frankly, think that, people are going to chase us, and that's fine. They can chase us all they want. They're never going to be as good as we are.
Absolutely. You know your why, right? Everybody knows their why.
I know it.
It's exhausting. I would say this. Yeah, I used to tell this to our franchisees. I would say there's copycats out there, and we had copycats. And I would say with the copycats, they're doing what you do. They don't know why you do it. And when your competition doesn't know why you do something, they cut corners. They do some of the things, and it's exhausting for them because they can't see around the corners. And
correct. Well,
market leaders.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is that, look, I'm a builder by trade, so like everything that my franchisees are going through or have been through, I've been through it. I've built 1,000 residential, projects on the renovation side. I'm a builder first, so this business was created off of my experience. So there's nothing that these franchisees can do that I haven't seen. And so, like, I think that goes back to the authenticity piece of this, is that it's truly authentic, that like this company was created by a builder, so we can help you. And my team has all been in construction and design, so we can really help. And I think that's what sets us apart, is we're not like a company that said, well, let's create a construction company, but we're not constructors. The company was developed and built by professionals who have a deep knowledge of the industry. And that's why we're, so far advanced, and I think above and beyond anybody else or anybody that will come before us, is because we're builders first, and we're franchising a business that we're professionals in.
That's fantastic. And you bring not only a level of expertise, but there's, I would imagine there's an amount of respect, admiration from your franchisees, knowing that this guy, Mike Valente, didn't just start Renovation Sells because he saw there was this opportunity, but this is what you did, like you as a builder.
Correct.
So there's just a different level when they know this guy's been there, done that. He's just not a guy with this
Well,
business
they can
idea.
call me, they can call me. And when they're in their first, 6 months and say, I'm spinning or I'm having trouble. And I can say, I've been there. I've sat in your seat. I remember when we started this business and I was spinning and I had trouble or whatever it may be. And I can relate. And I think that's the authenticity piece that comes through, is like, I can actually relate to what everybody's doing and going through because I've done it personally.
All right. So if you could go back in time, what would you tell your younger self?
What would I tell my younger self? I think I would tell myself that be calm. It's all going to work out and you're going to get where you always thought you were going to go. Because sometimes in the early days, I have again, entrepreneurship is inside of me, right? It burns. I can feel it. And I'm sure, Frank, you can feel the same thing. And, when you're young and you have a vision and a goal, and, and I didn't know I was going to be in franchising, but I always knew I'd be successful. I always knew that I would build something big, whatever that was. And so, you tend to be really hard on yourself. And that's what entrepreneurs do. And so, and I'm still hard on myself. But like, if I told my younger self, it would be, keep doing it. You're going to get there, and just relax a little bit because you will make it. And so I would give my younger self a little bit of grace.
I love it. Love it. Grace is huge. And for somebody like you, I mean, the passion just, it comes through. I feel it through the video screen, you feel the passion. And sometimes we're so passionate about what we do and we've got this vision. We want everything to happen like tomorrow. Like it can't come soon enough. And we're difficult on ourselves. We definitely have to be a little more gentle on ourselves for sure.
Correct. No, it's hard. It's hard, especially for entrepreneurs, because we have big dreams, big visions, big goals. But, if you hear all kinds of stories of big entrepreneurs, that have been there, done that, they've been beat around. Companies don't spring up and sell for $100 million overnight. I mean, it takes years and years and years. And these people grind through, and people from the outside say, oh, well, that was fast. They got lucky. No entrepreneur got lucky. Every entrepreneur worked their butt off to get where they were. And it was really hard to do it.
What, do you have any inspiring message or advice you would give to an aspiring entrepreneur that may be considering joining Renovation Sells? Somebody that's hearing this and going, this sounds pretty good. I mean, what would you share with them about becoming part of your mission?
I would say open the door. And I mean that, you can sit and think about what you want to do all day long, but until you open that door and walk through that door to see what's on the other side, I think that's really important because you never know where it's going to go. So if there's any interest or in entrepreneurship, and forget Renovation Sells, right? If there's any interest in being an entrepreneur in general, or if you like something that's not Renovation Sells, pick up the phone, make that phone call. Explore that opportunity, talk to people. Don't just think about it. Start taking real action to move that forward, because so many people sit on their hands and think and think and think and think, but they never do. So jump off the roof and figure out how to fly while you're falling.
That's great. And especially because your territories are protected. Once that territory is gone, it is gone.
It's gone. I mean, the franchise system and brokerage network has taught me well. A territory is available until it's not.
That's true. All right. Well, Mike, if somebody's interested in learning more about the franchise opportunity, how can they get more information?
Please go to our website, www.renovationsells.com. And there is a franchising page attached to that. Not only will you see all our beautiful work, you'll see our locations, you can explore Renovation Sells, but you can also go to the franchising tab of our website, and then you will get directed to our sales team that will walk you through the detailed process and get you started.
Wow. Mike, it sounds like you have a great opportunity. Thank you so much for being on the show. And I learned so much from you today. You guys, you are definitely an emerging franchise brand that is well on your way to being a mature brand before you know it. So thank you.
Thanks, Frank. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation of obtaining proper disclosure documents and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.